You enter the dining hall where the staff has already set the table for two, an elaborate dinner laid out. You looked around, it was about midnight, and yet there was no sign of your husband. You pulled out a chair before sitting on it and looked at the other one, which was still empty. You glanced at the clock in which the minutes were ticking away slowly. Jungkook was late again. His work demands his attention almost all the time, and you understand why, but it doesn't make you feel less lonely. You sighed, your fingers tracing the rim of your wine glass. As you sat at the grand dining table, waiting for Jungkook to arrive, your mind drifted back to your wedding day. Your marriage had been arranged by your families to strengthen their powerful connections. You remembered how serious and distant Jungkook had looked when you first met, and how intimidating he had seemed. The wedding day was filled with traditions and formalities. You felt like you were just a piece in a big game. Jungkook was polite but distant, his nature cool and composed. He barely spoke to you, and when he did, his words were careful and formal. "I will do my duty as your husband," he said during your first private conversation, his voice lacking warmth. "But do not expect more than that." You had nodded, trying to hide your fear and uncertainty. "I'll understand," you had replied softly, feeling a knot of anxiety tighten in your chest. As the days turned into weeks, you found yourself constantly nervous around him. Jungkook's cold nature made it hard for you to feel comfortable, and you often hesitated to speak your mind. But despite his cold exterior, he had always been gentle with you, never raising his voice or showing anger. This confused you. How could someone so distant but be so considerate? One night, as you lay in bed beside him, you had gathered the courage to ask, "Jungkook, are you happy with our marriage?" He had turned to look at you, his dark eyes showing a mix of surprise and thoughtfulness. "Happiness is a luxury in our world, but I don't regret marrying you, if that's what you're asking." His words had given you a small comfort, though they did little to ease your fear. You wanted to believe that there was more to him than the cold facade he presented to the world, but you were too afraid to push him and risk ruining the peace you had. The minutes ticked by slowly, and you wondered if Jungkook would ever truly open up to you. You longed to tell him how you felt, to confess the love that had quietly grown in your heart despite the circumstances of your marriage. The sound of the double doors opening pulled you from your thoughts. Jungkook entered the room, his presence commanding as ever. He gave you a brief nod, an attempt at a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Sorry I'm late. Things got complicated," he said, coming near while you smiled a little. "It's all right. I'm just glad you're home." You stepped closer, wrapping your arms around him in a gentle hug. He stiffened at first, then relaxed slightly, his hands resting on your back. As you sat down to eat, the silence between you and Jungkook was heavy but not uncomfortable. You decided to start a gentle conversation, hoping to bridge the gap. "I'm glad you're home. It's nice to have dinner together," you said softly, making him look at you. His eyes softened when he saw you. "Yep, it is. I'm sorry I keep you waiting so often." You shook your head. "I understand your work is important, but I do miss you." He paused when you said that. Gathering himself, he gave a small nod. "I miss you too, more than I let on." Your heart skipped a beat at his admission. You took a deep breath and decided to push a little further. After a short pause, you finally decided to speak. Jungkook, can I ask you something? He nodded while setting down his fork. Sure, is everything okay? You nodded. Yes, everything is fine. I just want to know that do you ever think about us, like about how things could be different? Your voice was barely above a whisper. He looked a little surprised as your eyes met. You thought you asked this untimely and he would walk away from here, but nothing like that happened. In fact, when he said afterwards, you felt your heart beating fast. I do. I think about it a lot. I know I seem distant, but it's not because I don't care. You felt a warmth spread through your chest at his word. You wanted to tell him how you truly felt, how your heart ached with unspoken love, but fear held you back. Instead, you said, sometimes I just wish we could talk more, really talk. Jungkook nodded. I know I'm not giving you enough time, but I'll try my best. You nodded. The conversation calmed you, and you found yourself staring at your plate, the word I love you lingering on the tip of your tongue. You glanced up at Jungkook, watching him quietly eat his meal, and wondered if he could ever feel the same way. Jungkook seemed to sense your hesitation. Is there something else on your mind? He asked gently while you hesitated and then shook your head. No, it's nothing. Just I'm glad we can talk like this. He flashed you a warm smile and then continued eating in silence. You came in your bedroom after the dinner, but Jungkook got a call and he said he'll come later. He went to his study while you come in your room. You were thinking about the conversation happened at the dining table. He said he feels the same. He missed you too, and now you couldn't stop thinking about it. A small smile appeared on your face, and now you started to feel more confident that one day you'll definitely confess to each other. Almost an hour passed, and Jungkook didn't come back yet. You decided to check where he is, so you got up from the bed and left the room. You came in the living room hoping that he'll be there, but the room was all silent. Maybe he's still in his study. I think I should not disturb him and sleep. Just as you were about to leave, you heard a loud sound of breaking a glass or something similar. You flinched and looked back because it came from Jungkook's study. Jungkook, you got scared and rushed toward the study room. Jungkook looked at his hand that started bleeding when he literally broke the center table just with the power of his fist. A few pieces tapped inside the palm and he plucked them out with a hiss. He sat on the couch, his eyes red and watery. He winced as he took out the last piece of glass. He hurted himself in anger, and not only his palm but knuckles of both the hands were bleeding terribly, but he doesn't care. He flinched slightly when the door unlocked, and his heart dropped when he saw you standing at the door. He wasn't expecting you to come here and see all this. Wyan, you didn't sleep yet? A whisper left his mouth. Meanwhile, your eyes widened when you saw the condition of the room, but then your eyes fell on his hands. What happened here? You are bleeding, Jungkook. You said, rushing near him and held his hand in yours. His heart soothed when your gentle skin touched his. His eyes never leaving you, while you panicked seeing his hand injured badly. You looked at him as tears filled in your eyes. Why did you do that? I'm sorry, he whispered while you got a little angry. You know that he has anger issues, and whenever he gets mad or upset about anything, instead of talking to someone, he takes out all that anger on himself. I want an explanation. Your eyes met, and for the first time he saw that confidence in your eyes. Your tone was demanding, and there was no sign of nervousness and fear. You acted like a wife, and he felt his heart melting. I don't have one, he said, lowering his eyes, but this time you decided to not let go things easily. His blood was dropping, so you decided to treat that first before anything else. I'm sure you do, but let's clean your hand first. You left his hand and walked towards his desk before checking first aid box in the drawers. Jungkook was just looking at you. After finding it, you came near him and sat beside him on the couch. Give me your hand. You grabbed an antiseptic and cleaned off the blood with the help of a soaked cotton ball. He winced as you applied pressure to the wound but didn't pull away. You looked at him and your eyes met. Are you sure you are a human being, Jungkook? Why did you do that? Who hurt themselves like this, huh? You are right. Even I don't think I deserve to call a human. You paused and looked at him. He seemed hurt. As a wife, can I ask you why you did that and expect a reply? You both looked at each other for some time. I know you have never learned to share your feelings and problems with others, but I'm your wife. If you believe in your other half, you can share your problems with me. I can't assure you that I'll solve them, but trust me, you'll feel better than hurting yourself like this. Do I even deserve to be called a husband? You have never felt such vulnerability in his voice. I don't think I'm the type of husband that you deserve. You are the husband I deserve. We all have flaws, we all make mistakes, but we don't have to face them alone. If we don't open up with each other, we'll never know what we mean for each other. He leaned into your touch, his eyes closing as if savoring the comfort. I don't know how to do this, Ryan. I don't know how to be better. I want to tell you more than how I feel. I want to tell you how special you are. You have become my world, my everything, but I don't know how to say this. A tear left your eyes at his confession, but you quickly wiped it away. And I know everything, but look, you finally said it. It wasn't that hard, was it? Jungkook was surprised because he didn't realize that he said his feelings. You finished dressing the palm and knuckles before cupping his face. We can take it slow. It will last forever and I want to be with you forever. I love you, Jungkook, and I know you do too. You don't have to hurt yourself like this, nor you have to face anything alone. Talk to me every time you don't feel good. You'll feel more than relaxed, trust me. Jungkook couldn't control his emotions and pulled you on top of him before kissing you deeply. You were surprised at first, but then you closed your eyes and enjoyed the kiss. You wrapped your arms around his neck while your fingers playing with his hair. The kiss was intense, filled with all the unspoken words and emotions that has built up between you. When you finally pulled away, both of you were breathless, your forehead resting against each other.
사랑을 알려준 사람 그대